growing up in the late 1980s and early 1990s, I wasn't a huge fan of Movie Macabre, but I would watch it from time to time, especially when there was nothing else better to do. When there was nothing else on TV, you sit down, you watch a good old school B horror movie and, laugh at it or just riff on it, right? That's something to do when you're a kid, have nothing else better to do. And, a lot of people would watch Elvira. I mean, some people for two obvious reasons, right? Because she was the host of Movie Macabre, and let's be honest, she's a moderately attractive woman. That was part of the appeal of Movie Macabre, right? Is you either watch it for Elvira, or you watch it for the movies, or you watch it for both. Fans, of course, after a while, they watch for both, right? Because they like the character and they like the presentation she put on, right? She's kind of in that same vein as like Joe Bob Briggs and stuff, right? Well, she decided that she was going to do the thing that you absolutely should do in this day and age, right? In modern times, and that is divide your fan base. So this is a tweet that she put out. I stand with musicians and artists, not with quacks and hacks. This cause is close to my heart. Please sign, right? So she's sharing a petition, right, to remove the Joe Rogan podcast from Spotify now for you. I'm not going to say it because this video will instantly be flagged and probably demonetized. It has to do with the kufu, of course, and, misinformation or disinformation, which seems to be code these days now for people like Elvira and people like Neil Young, right, to use when they just don't agree, right, with somebody else's opinion. It's misinformation, it's disinformation, but they never can really explain why, right? So she followed that up with saying, regarding fans, haha, who are leaving me because they prefer disinformation over the truth, all I can say, it's time to clean house and separate the class from the trash. Bye-bye. Yeah, that's absolutely a wonderful idea, right? I'm pretty sure that most people that you're saying this to, I'm sure that they'll forget about it, right, over time, and I'm sure it absolutely will not affect you at all, especially when it comes to your future appearances, particularly the convention appearances, because that seems to be really all you're doing these days, and the only thing that kind of keeps you going is your convention appearances. But that's all right. For the people who call this censorship, quote unquote, right? Would it be okay if I had a podcast inviting experts to encourage people to drive drunk? If I crash and kill myself, big deal. It's my problem. How about the people you kill or injure in the other car? Do they matter at all? To you? This is stupid, right? Because Joe Rogan has had experts on both sides of the aisle come on to his podcast and explain what the deal is with Kufu, right? So she doesn't watch the podcast, but she's willing to give this hot take. And that happens with a lot of these people that decide they're going to take this stance. Look at Neil Young, for example, right? Pull all my music off of Spotify, even though I don't have the rights to it. And then you come to find out that Neil Young probably doesn't watch the Joe Rogan podcast at all, but yet he wants to say that Joe Rogan is misinforming people or spreading disinformation. So this is just funny to me, and I think we should point and laugh at her. Like I said, she's the kind of person that this is what she thinks, right? If you don't agree with me, well, I don't care if you leave. You weren't my fan to begin with, which couldn't be further from the truth, right? Because look, there's been people that I absolutely disagree with ideologically, politically, religiously, however, whatever way you can possibly think of, but I don't lump them into this category of just being some vile or bad person that doesn't care about other people's lives or well-being just because, right? Just because they have the freedom to make choices, their own personal choices in regards to their own health. That's ridiculous. And it just goes to show that these are the kind of people that always talk about being open-minded, but they're the most closed-minded people out there. If you don't agree with their opinion, you're just wrong, right? That's it. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the truth is. They only want to be right in the argument, and usually they're not. They're usually not. And the only ones that are saying stuff like this are the people that don't watch Joe Rogan's podcast, but they want to get on Twitter, or they want to get on Facebook, or they want to get on Instagram, or whatever other social media site, or even here on YouTube, and they want to virtue signal about how they care more about people than you do. And then they want to sit there and denigrate you and belittle you. And they don't know you, right? And look, in fairness, we don't know them either, but they show their hand, I think, a lot more because of things like social media. Now, look, maybe she's an absolutely pleasant person. Maybe she's just playing a character right now, right? Right? Because that's something you could always fall back to, right? But I doubt it. A lot of times, this is how they really feel, and these are the takes that they get very publicly. So, look, I'm sure. Again, maybe she thinks, hey, this won't affect anything in the long run, and maybe it won't. Maybe it won't. But it'll be surprising to see how her lines look the next time she goes to convention. I wonder if her lines are now only going to be half the size they were before. Maybe not. Maybe not. I could be completely wrong. Maybe it won't affect her bottom line. But in situations like this, people always vote with their dollars. So I would encourage people to do that, right? Vote with your dollars when it comes to people like this that want to sit here and talk down to you and belittle you. And like I said, look, let's just point and laugh at them. They're being stupid. And they're not who they portray themselves to be, right? As these great open-minded people. Because look, everybody, right, who has a fan base, myself included, right? My fan base obviously is much, much smaller than hers. She's been around for decades, okay? Elvira's been around for a long time. She is a part of pop culture, and nothing's going to change that, regardless of this stance, right? It's not going to change her place in pop culture history. But I will say this, look, to be this cynical, to be this jaded, right, with people, I think is stupid. I have a fan base, and truthfully, look, like I said, nowhere near as big as Elvira's, and there's other people on this platform that have bigger fan bases than me, of course, that are way more well-known than me, but I've seen plenty of them that don't sit there and try to defy their fan bases because they don't align on beliefs. I mean, look, most people like it when people agree with them, right? It feels good, but I'm okay with people disagreeing with me. And I'm okay with them being fans, even if we don't fundamentally agree on certain things. And I'm not going to lord that over them. And I'm not going to put myself on this moral pedestal above them and act like I'm so much better than them, that I'm so much more caring than they are, just because we have disagreements when it comes to these things. Okay, regardless of what those beliefs that they have are. I think you could always agree to disagree and still respect people and not alienate people just because you want them to think exactly the way that you do. That is ridiculous. And it's surprising to me that a woman as old as Cassandra Peterson still thinks this way. But then again, hey, look, she's one of these West Coast wokies, so it doesn't really surprise me. So it is what it is. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Until next time, y'all know how it goes. The hunt continues.